nunnery that Hamlet tells Ophelia to go to is both representative of innocence and sin. His anger towards his mother and her frivolousness has influenced Hamlet's view of women in general as weak and sinful. Through these lines, Hamlet expresses his concern for Ophelia and hatred of women through his lines, "Get thee to a nunnery" in Act 3. He wants Ophelia to be away from the temptations of the world and remain pure. As you can see, none of these symbols are inherently related to what they represent. We learn through the reading of Hamlet that a nunnery represents sin, poison, violence, and Yorick School the inevitability of death and equality. Shakespeare also employs an abundance of metaphors. 4 of the major metaphors are undiscovered country, which represents death, voice of Denmark, which represents duties as a prince and Hamlet's revenge, fishmonger, which represents Polonius's use of his daughter, sea of troubles, which represents Hamlet's never-ending worries. Each metaphor here has only a limited range of meanings. The undiscovered country is a metaphor because unlike a symbol, it cannot include life. The voice of Denmark cannot describe a prince of another country. A fishmonger cannot be seen as something positive when used towards someone like Polonius, and a sea of troubles definitely can't be good. Each has a natural meaning that is transferred to what it describes to help the reader understand the reference more. Since the pieces have been analyzed, we can look at connections that exist in each piece. The first theme that applies to all 3 pieces is that fate is only controlled by the heavens. In Lament, the narrator is separated from her husband through his death. No matter what she does, death is a natural part of life and took her husband away. It was his fate to die, but it was hers to live at the moment. The last line, "I forget why," suggests that even though she loses the meaning of life and no longer has motivation to live, she must go on and continue her life. Similarly, in the second piece, A Dirge Without Music, death is also portrayed as the inevitable end that all humans will be one with the dull and discriminatory dust. It doesn't matter how lovely, beautiful, or talented you are, you will die. And finally, in Hamlet, fate is not only displayed in death, but also evident through Hamlet's struggles to take revenge. Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew. Hamlet expresses his contempt and disdain for life in these lines. He wants to be free from the cruel world and burdens that he must take up as a son. However, this quote evidently shows Hamlet's helplessness in front of fate as he continues on his revenge. The last thematic similarity is that values and goals are not given up easily. In Lament, we can see this through the second to the last line where the mother states that her life must go on. She focuses on the worldly needs of her children and keeps living despite her husband's death. Her duties as a mother and her love for her children keep her going and push her to live. In A Dirge Without Music, the narrator's determination to keep living in opposition of death is emphasized through the repetition of the lines, "I am not resigned," and the beliefs keep the narrator going despite the pervasiveness of death. Finally, in Hamlet, no matter how many mistakes he makes or what other obstacles may come in his way, he states explicitly and powerfully near the end of the play that he will continue on with his revenge. Although each outcast, the narrators of Millais stories and Hamlet all struggle to continue living in a world where they lose the ones they love and become separated from their old lives, they must continue to live and fulfill their duties. Thank you.
Created using Powtoon.